Hello, and welcome to the Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and thank you once again for tuning in, Kosh listeners. I appreciate you as always, and you already know what I'm going to say. It is another... Ooh, I don't even know what that is. That popped out of nowhere. It is another wonderful Saturday morning. It's gorgeous out, and you know what? I can't wait to actually start to kick in the day. I got a feeling like there's good energy in the air, and there's more than one reason. So, first of all, let me start with our intro that the Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who have an association with Oshkosh or the surrounding Fox Valley area. And the reason I think today is going to be pretty awesome, and I'm not going to waste a bunch of time jumping into it, but let's just get into it. My guest this week is Jennifer Skolaski.
Close. It was close. It was close. You added another S, but that's okay.
Another S, huh?
Can I tell you what I love?
What?
Is that you said sass. Like, I feel like that should be like my nickname, you know?
Well, maybe I was trying to imply something.
I can be sassy.
I had a feeling. There's just a feeling about that. All right. How do we correctly enunciate? Skolaski.
Yes.
Okay. Sko Sassy sounds so good.
It does sound much better.
I'm just saying. All right. All right, Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this this opportunity to sit down with you. I just sometimes you just know by the energy in the room, like this episode is about to be fire.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's no pressure on me, but
lots of pressure on you and no pressure on me because I'm just the host. Like people have already heard plenty of me, so like they're just like it's just Timber. But Jennifer, we need to know what Jennifer's gonna say. How do you feel about that and all that pressure?
That's a lot of pressure, but I've been in those situations before, so I will try my best.
You seem like it. You seem like somebody who can handle the pressure and put it on the shoulders and go about.
They're broad shoulders.
They're broad shoulders.
These are swimmer shoulders.
Is that what that is?
17 years of competitive swimming, yeah.
Oh, man. I was going to say, because I'm a little jealous, because actually your shoulders are broader than mine. So I was just pointing that out. And look, I ain't got no shame. Shame.
Wait, so I'm sassy and I have broad shoulders. This is going well.
Hey, look. My Kosh listeners know that the one thing I am is I keep it 100.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I like it. People have already stopped listening.
Oh, no. Actually, they're just waiting. Oh, this is going to be good. Right now, there's people that are sitting down with tea and coffee, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a ride.
Yeah, put a little more cream in your coffee.
There you go. Wait, are you a cream coffee person?
I like it black, but if I'm doing iced coffee, then I want more cream.
You see, I'm all about just give me the caffeine.
Yeah.
I wish they could figure out a better way to, like, concentrated caffeine. Well, espresso shots.
But see, I love a warm beverage like all day.
Yeah.
I'm still drinking coffee at 4:00 because I love the feeling of like a mug in my hands and like that whole ritual of drinking a warm beverage.
Okay. I like warm beverages in the morning, and then I do like to switch to a cold beverage. Hint, hint. By the afternoon and evening. I'm just saying. All right. Well, Jennifer, we're going to jump in. First question. Can you please share a little something about yourself and what is your connection to the Kosh?
I feel like I should just do it simple and say I live in Oshkosh.
Oh, my God. You're going to be that guest?
I'm just kidding. No. I thought about this as I was, listening to your others. I'm like, this would be really fun if I just said yes or no to everything. I'm sure that'd be successful. There you go. So I live in Oshkosh. I moved here in 2012.
Okay.
For love.
Oh, love?
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
Yeah. So I moved here 12 years ago, and then, or whenever 2012 was, and started a company here where I consult for nonprofits, but did that mostly throughout the Fox Valley and the state of Wisconsin. And I also taught at UW Oshkosh and UW Green Bay as a lecturer.
Oh, okay. What subject matter did you lecture in?
Nonprofits,
Oh, under which program?
public administration.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was that random lecturer that, took things from a book, but like really talked about real stuff and the full application of it. So
look, you got to talk from the place of actually I've done it more than the educational theory of it. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, I did a lot of school. I feel like that's like a sentence in and of itself, right? I did a lot of school. I was just filling out a survey questionnaire for my kids, and it said, how many years of education? And I'm like, 21. Oh my gosh. 21, which is a lot. But, so when I teach, it's always, let's get away from the books. Like, tell me what happens in the real world, in your real life, in your work, and how can we make it better? And we can take those theories that are in books and apply it. So that's really, I'm obviously very passionate about education in that way.
Okay. Who are some of the, if it's okay, who are some of the nonprofits you're working with around locally?
Yeah. So throughout the Fox Valley, I used to work with Housing Partnership for Fox Cities, which is now Pillars. And I worked with Boys and Girls Brigade and Christine Ann. And then I used to run a collaboration around addressing poverty called The Hub. So a collaboration of nonprofits. But now I am the facilitator for the Winnebago County Overdose Fatality Review, which is contracted through the health department. So I've turned to the government side, but still doing, really cool community impact work.
I just want to say that she almost had a Vader moment when she said that.
The dark side.
The government side. All right. That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you come from prior?
Madison. So I'm born and raised from Madison, and then I went to school in Iowa. So I was a Hawkeye and lived and worked there, and then came back to Madison to be closer to my family and do the whole graduate school thing. And and then ended up in Oshkosh.
Oh, do you know Debbie Gray Patton?
No.
And the only reason I ask is because I think she's a Hawkeye too. She sure has a lot of Iowa stuff. She works at the university.
Okay, I was like, that there are a lot of people that go to
Iowa.
There are only 5 people that go to the farmland.
Wait. Yes, maybe. Yes. Okay. No, it was just a question. I'll ask that later.
Yeah.
I
love that.
And if not, maybe Hawkeyes need to meet each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm in this weird thing that, I am a 4th generation Badger. And so being the youngest, I was the youngest of 4 girls. I had to get away, but then I had to come back so that I could also be a Badger. So it's
was the Badger was the advanced degree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. You ready to jump into the next segment?
Let's do it.
Okay, next segment. What in the world is going on with? That's where you start with the phrase, what in the world is going on with? And you tell us what's on your mind. So
okay. So hit some traffic this morning, and I have to say, what in the world is going on with people still not knowing how to drive through a roundabout?
Bruh. Seriously.
I am amazed that these roundabouts have been around for so long. Get that. And yet people still don't know how to drive around them.
Oh, no. I have mixed opinions on it.
Oh, let's hear them.
Okay. Here's my thing. The only thing about them is like, they are by the signage, not the process. The signage can be very confusing. So often I'm often confused. Am I supposed to be on the inner ring or the outer ring? And when I'm in the wrong ring, how do I get to the other ring? And then no one's going to let you to the other ring. But how do you do? So do you continue to drive in the circle until you can make it to the other ring?
So you can go around the rings multiple times to get into the right lane.
I don't want to be somebody's roundabout a thing on that they make a meme out of me.
You don't?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I suggest you just stick around the one ring.
The one ring.
The signage may be difficult, but I also think that they've been around for a long enough time.
This is true.
That I think by now we should be able to know how to work them.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I remember when they first rolled out the roundabouts, and it was the talk of the seniors going into the roundabouts, and they did not know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% mad at them for that, because like now, as long as I'm familiar with the roundabout, I got a game plan.
Yeah.
But if it's a new roundabout in a new location outside of the Fox City somewhere, it can be a little intimidating.
Yeah. And I will also say, I always have to drive around the roundabouts. I can't be a passenger, because I feel like if I'm a passenger, I'm going to get car sick.
Bruh. Are you that person?
I am that person.
You got to drive.
I got to drive. I got to be in control.
Oh, you heard it here first. I just wanted to clarify what that meant. I'm glad.
It's also so I don't get car sick, but I mean, it's also the control thing.
It's the control thing. We'll use car sick.
That's right.
Right. Car sick works. Okay. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right. And you are right. What is the world is going on with? As you can tell, once again, we don't edit. So the sound in the background means that it is noon here in the Kosh, and it is tornado sirens. But we're going to keep it moving. My what in the world is going on with is what in the world is going on with the shooting in Buffalo. And I hate doing heavy things, but we got to talk about some of that. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you not talk about that? And all I'm going to say to it really is this. How does someone so young form so much hate in their heart? Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, nothing more, nothing less, and nothing that deep. But how do you form that level of hate in your heart that you drive hours to kill a specific population from a demographic simply because they're that population and they're from that demographic? Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything to you personally. I'm going to probably bet money that you probably lived in an area where there wasn't even any, very little diversity. Mm-hmm. And yet you found a way to hate at such a level by the age of 19. Mm-hmm. It just gives me pause on such a grand scale. And partially because how often do we hear it's just the race card? There's not really racism. People are just making excuses as if, and then true hate shows its head, and those voices, they're quiet. They're silent. I'm not even sure they're remorseful. That there just drives me. It gives me goosebumps and shivers of pause, because I believe in the greater good of us as a country, as people, as residents of this country, as just people, and the humanization and the humanity of us as people. So to have a level of hate to go out and just do that kind of random killing, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. It sits on my soul, though. That's where I'm at.
I think, heavy stuff, right? And it hurts me, and I can't imagine what it feels like to be a person of color and experience that as well. I love to tell this story that my husband and I went to Istanbul a long time ago. We flew there, and it was in December, and there was snow. And Istanbul doesn't normally get snow. And we're walking up, and we stumble across this ground that is cobblestone. And we look up, and we see this huge mosque, and it was the Blue Mosque. And all of a sudden, I look at this couple next to me, and this woman is covered head to toe, and she's with a man who I assume is her husband, and I'm there with my husband. And I slip, and my husband catches me, and she slips, and her husband catches her. And I think about that shared experience and how we were exactly the same at that moment, right?
Right.
And I think that so often, like you said, if you don't grow up with quote unquote racial diversity, what other diversity are you experiencing to stretch your boundaries and become more open-minded and become tolerant and become compassionate, right? And understand that we are more similar than anyone can imagine, right?
Absolutely. That we basically all have the same basic needs, and most of us have most of the same basic wants. Mm-hmm. And they're surrounded by the basics. A decent place to live, shelter, food, family, good futures for your children. Mm-hmm. I don't care what race, creed, color, religion, and any other demographic you or intersectionality detail you want to add in there. At the end of the day, to me, those basics, they should unite us more than divide us. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's it. It's heavy. I'm sorry, y'all, Kosh listeners, but you know me. I keep it 100 with y'all. I don't stray away from the tough things. And if that doesn't say what in the world is going on with, I don't know what does. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Ready for the next segment?
Yeah, I just want to also say thank you, because I think it's important to talk about this. And I think it's important to have conversations like the ones that you're having on this podcast, right? Because it helps our community grow and learn and connect with one another. So
absolutely. Absolutely. If this podcast doesn't show anything, it definitely shows that as a community, we are more common than not. Mm-hmm. And that we there's a whole lot of us from a whole lot of different backgrounds that just want good for our greater community.
Heck yeah.
So, next segment, word association. This is where I'm going to say a word and you tell us what comes to your mind. All right.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. First word, food.
So my word is Thai, because I'm obsessed with Thai food.
Yes. Oh, man.
So part of the reason that I'm obsessed was after college, I lived on a Singaporean military base as part of a camp counselor, weird, funky experience, but it was amazing. And they had, in Singapore, they have the best fusion food, right? It's all this amazing Asian influence. And there was a little place right down the, from where we lived, that had the most amazing Thai food that I ate way too much all summer. And I think ever since, moving back, I'm always searching for good Thai food.
Okay. Where's your favorite Thai place around here?
So I wish I could say it's Oshkosh, but it's not. So you said Fox Valley, right?
Yeah. Hey, look, you can pick where it is.
So I love Little Siam in Neenah. I used to love Size. I thought Size was the best, but Little Siam's really good. And then I love Basil Cafe in Appleton.
Okay.
But I also have to say I love Manila in Oshkosh. It's not Thai food, but they've got amazing Filipino food, and many of the dishes can feed my soul.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Bangkok.
No.
I'm going to give a shout out to Bangkok anyway, just because I eat there and I love them. That's fair. Okay. I've never gone to Little Siam. That sounds really good. What's the favorite dish?
I think it depends on what mood you're in, right? Like if you need something light, like a spring roll, you've got that. But then I also love curry. So good curries, but you can have your pad thai and be happy with that, because anything with peanut sauce is amazing.
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my only thing with Thai food is you have to figure out what does hot mean to them. Right? Have you ever made that mistake, Kosh listeners? I'm going to keep it 100. Thai is one of those things, you really have to negotiate with them. What is hot? Don't go in there thinking tough. I love spicy food, and I can go pretty elevated. I'm around the habanero status.
Okay.
Habanero, I can do habanero fairly easily without pushing it. But when you're getting to other levels above what I will call habanero hotness, that's different hotness.
Well, and it's all about confidence, right? Like I love the people that are like, oh, I want it hot. And then the, wait staff might be like, no, I don't think you do. And they're like, no, I do. And then you see them suffer, you know? So this is funny because it was probably a month ago. I went to the new Brazilian place in Oshkosh, which is also amazing. And there were these two young gentlemen there and they were like, yeah, we like it spicy. And Mara had said, oh, are you sure? Well, we have this amazing pepper sauce. And they're like, yeah, we want it. And they kept pouring it on their sandwich or whatever dish it was, trying to get the peppers out, not thinking that the juice around the peppers would be spicy. So I'm just watching this guy sweat. And finally Mara comes over and is like, how about I get you a soda? So I think it's also that, testing your confidence. Like, oh yeah, I can handle it spicy when clearly you can't.
Were they all red?
Oh yeah. Oh,
so it was the beads of the forehead.
Yeah.
The beads on the forehead.
We left before he entered the bathroom. I'm sure of it. So.
Oh my God, that's so good. Yes. Hot is relative. Cocktail or beer?
I'm going to go sparkling water because I'm obsessed with sparkling water.
Okay.
So in my house, we have this fridge filled with all the various sparkling waters. So a few years ago, I decided to, give up soda or something like that. And I drink it nonstop. And so I love varying all the different flavors and you can drink it all day. And yeah.
Just sparkling water.
Sparkling water.
That's
you don't like it?
Oh no, that's way too healthy.
I didn't say it was just sparkling water. I could have that with brownies or something, so you have something healthy so that you can.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love sparkling water, actually. My sparkling water tends to accompany something in the vodka family. I'm just saying. It's just how my sparkling water comes out of my tap. No.
You have vodka coming out of your tap? Okay. You may want to call the water company about that.
Why would
or maybe
you
others.
Why would you do that? If you had a magical
knock.
Right. If you had a magical vodka tap, would you tell anyone? No. Okay. Streaming.
So we just finished The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you seen this?
I've got another friend who's watching the series, so they've kind of filled me in on what it's about. But please share. So
it was that and Ozark. We just finished Ozark. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my gosh, you can't ask this question and then not know everything that's streaming, right?
I'm here to be educated.
That's a good response. So the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, she's a Jewish woman that is struggling to become a comedian as her career choice. And I love it because she is so bold and she's vulgar. And it's all during a time that wasn't acceptable. And I love that.
Bruh. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it makes me laugh, but it also makes me think, oh my gosh, I couldn't have lived during that time period because I also enjoy being vulgar.
The things that we are learning. Bruh. I am very good to hear this. Okay. Mrs. Maisel, I heard that's amazing. What is that on? Is that on Netflix or where's that streaming on?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. I've seen it. And you are not the first person to mention it to me, so I think I'm gonna have to put that on the list. And Ozark, everybody's watching Ozark.
Yeah. We just finished all of it.
All of it. How long did it take you to binge it?
So this was the second part, and the second part it took us only 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. That was the first. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you had the look on your face I'm a little bit ashamed, but I enjoyed it.
But it was so great. Yeah. It's okay to do that every once in a while.
I think binging is healthy. It's just binging is healthy. TV binging, because you know what? It's the one time that you kind of shut down when you're binging, are you really thinking about a bunch of other things other than the next episode?
No.
And see,
No.
that's what I mean. I think it's like a mental getaway when you're binging. Like all you're thinking, like you're not worried about work. You're not worried about this thing or what I got to get done. You're just thinking, I got to see the next episode.
I got to see the next one.
So I'm going to sit here for another 30, 40 hour.
Yeah, I think this is called marketing. Like I think I think they figured out how to just get people to sit on their couches for many, many hours.
Yeah, well, maybe. Or from an optimistic point of view, I'm going to call it, mental health, visual mental health happiness.
Oh.
How about that?
Well, I think we need to work on the terminology just a little bit. But no, I love that idea. Yeah. And I think it's like Mental Health Awareness Month or something. So maybe they promote that as a coping. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll work on the terminology. Off the fly, it's not always good. I'm just saying. We'll be that. Bruh. Shop local.
So I got to give a shout out to the Oshkosh Food Co-op, which I love.
Definitely.
Yes. So you're supporting a whole bunch of local business owners and a local grocery store that's community minded. And this kind of gets into some of the community roles that I play, but I'm a Girl Scout leader. I don't know how that happened because I didn't do very well in Girl Scouts growing up, but I have a almost 6-year-old daughter and we just did a tour with the Girl Scouts and they loved it. Ooh. Other than they didn't get all the cake that they thought that they were going to get at the end of the tour.
Well, why not?
You know what? I had to answer that to 10 girls.
You still don't have an answer.
I said I don't run the co-op. So if you're management of the Oshkosh Food Co-op, please add cake to the end of your tours.
Yeah. Is that better? I think that's it. They're very good people there. Oh, yeah. And Girl Scouts deserve cake.
Yeah. They got really good fruit.
Cake.
Yeah, but they got fruit.
Cake. Seriously. You act like they're in the same category.
You know what? I was very happy they got fruits that they hadn't tried before. And yet, one of the staff there, Kiana, who was outstanding, she's like, what questions do you have? Do you have chocolate cake? Do you have ice cream cake? Where is the cake? All the questions revolved around cake.
All valid questions. I'm going to actually applaud those young ladies for asking the tough things and wanting to know the things that matter.
So what do you think that badge would look like that they would get for asking that question?
Well, I would hope that it would have cake on it. So. Is there such a thing? I mean, there's a lot of different, there's a diverse amount of scouting badges, and the cake badge seems appropriate.
Yes. So maybe that cake badge is how many times you ask if the co-op has cake.
Well, no, it's let's make it educational.
Okay.
How much can you learn about such an important part of Americana?
Yes.
Cake.
Yeah. All the varieties.
Yes.
What ingredients it takes to make it. How much a cake can weigh.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you make those things? How long do you cook a cake? Mm-hmm. And different things like caramel cakes. Mm-hmm. Are they made out of caramel? Things that, the questions that the rest of the world really want to know.
Maybe you could just dedicate a podcast to that.
To cake?
To cake.
But
maybe. I feel like here's my question for you.
Okay.
Where's my cake while I'm doing this podcast?
And now I've just went down the wrong path. It happens. Bruh. I'm going to, you know what? You're going to get cake.
Really?
Well, not today.
Oh. Have others on the podcast asked for things?
No, they have not. They usually bring cake. I'm just kidding. They bring it. No,
I'm a horrible person.
No. What I will say is there are certain guests who are in certain businesses who've been nice enough to bless me with really good things.
Well, if I owned a bakery, I
was going to say shout out to Thunderbird Bakery. You guys looked out. I'm just. And shout out to Zeroni's because they also brought some pretty good yummies over here. So,
But I don't own a food business. Well, I feel like that's unfair.
Wait, I was not applying pressure per se. Okay. But, I'm just saying, if you'd have gave the Girl Scouts cake, there probably would have been leftover cake, and then you could have brought cake to
That's
the
true.
Kosh.
I should have just brought you Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll send those next time.
There we go. You heard it here on the Kosh.
I'm writing myself a note.
Girl Scout cookies. You know what? Can I ask a question about that?
Please.
Here's the thing. I'm not in charge of Girl Scout cookies in the household, but I did know that Girl Scouts have made a transition to the candy realm. Did this happen? Is there like these Girl Scout candy things that happened?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. No. So here's the other thing is like, I'm just a leader. Right. I'm not like administration. I don't get to make those decisions.
Okay. All right. Because I could have swore my wife brought home, and I could be wrong. Maybe I looked at the box wrong, but there were these Girl Scout, they were like candies, and they were like chocolates and stuff. So I was like, is Girl Scout expanding their menu options?
Let me ask you, were they better than cookies?
Yes.
Really?
Only because I've got a late night issue with eating like chocolate. And so like these chocolates were really good. Mm-hmm. And like they had peanut butter in them. So I don't even know. All right.
No, I'll find out and I'll report back.
I could be totally wrong. Kosh listeners, help me out here. If I'm on the wrong path, and maybe, I was reading the packaging wrong, because let's be honest, I wasn't reading it that closely. But I
could have eating it in the middle of the night.
Jennifer, you're that person. You're the person that just calls it out. You're just like, I'm gonna tell on him.
I would never. I mean, you did call me sassy at the beginning.
And so far, we have figured out a few things. Some things have been verified.
There you go.
Very much so. Okay. Diversity.
My in-laws. So I think my in-laws are probably the most diverse that you could find. So I have my father-in-law is from India. My mother-in-law is from Switzerland, and my sister-in-law is from China. So it is a pretty amazing fusion household of foods and cultures and holidays and stories about how everyone was raised. And I think it is so amazing that my kids get to grow up with that and get to experience celebrating all of this. And it's definitely influenced how they see the world and how hopefully they connect with their friends and teach them as well.
What a gift.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you're born and raised Wisconsin, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think what is the greatest gift you've received through all of this ability to be connected with people with all these diverse backgrounds and culture and stuff, how did that change, if it changed, your point of view and how you look at things, or how even you approach things professionally?
I think it's definitely opened my eyes. I am a pretty open-minded person, but I think that it, kind of just emphasized what we were talking about earlier of, realizing that people are so similar, right? Whether you're both slipping on snow or whether you hate cheese, like my father-in-law does, which I'm like, that's crazy. Because he moved to Wisconsin and married a Swiss woman and he hates cheese.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, what? That's, but he's an awesome man and, he enjoys other things too. But I think that, in my work, it makes me realize that no matter what background you've come from, we can come together as a community and we can work on things to make things better. And I think that by having more diversity in terms of thoughts and background and beliefs, that it's much better. It really is. I think back to, and I had talked about living in Singapore. So I'm a tall white woman with broad shoulders, as you pointed out, and I stuck out like a sore thumb in Singapore. And, would get looks and people would want to touch me. And, there was one man who was on a bus who almost got hit by this bus by looking at me. And like, I had this much, I'm like holding my fingers centimeters apart of like what it feels like, right? To stick out this much. And that was enough to totally change who I am, right? Because it made me take the time to be intentional, to connect with people, to learn their story, to learn their background, what makes them tick, what makes them motivated, what they're passionate about, what they hate, so that once again, as a community, as we're trying to build these connections with people, that we can do that because you're listening, you're understanding, and you're being open-minded to it. So I think that has definitely been the huge gift in my life, is meeting people from all different walks of life and being able to listen to their stories so that I can help change mine and help change the future of others too.
It's important because I think I like to believe that majority of us are well-intentioned. And most of us want to help. Mm-hmm. And we want to help our community be a better community, right? But how can you do that if you don't know your community? Mm-hmm. If you don't understand the different segments of your community? Mm-hmm. Helping is bigger than just helping those things that are familiar. Mm-hmm. And those that need the most help might be those who are the most different than you. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think in the past couple of years, I've really learned about intentionality.
Yes.
In pausing, as you said before, that it gave you pause, right? Like just stopping. So another, quick story. So I was a college athlete, and one thing I was in charge of was the international athletes. So it helped them socially and connecting in the community. And I used to do this orientation, and the thing that they would always say, I would say, so what surprises you most since you moved to Iowa, from all these places in the world, right? And they said, when people ask me how I am, they don't actually mean it. I'm like, what do you mean? And people are like, how are you doing? Oh, great. Okay. And then keep walking.
True.
Some people don't even listen to what the response is. And one thing that I've really tried doing, especially, like I said, in the past few years, especially with the pandemic, is asking people like, how are you, Timber? And when you say fine, I don't just walk away. I say, well, tell me more, because this is important. We're going to build this relationship. I'm going to find out how you are. I'm going to break you down if you're sad or angry or whatever, or if you're happy. I want to know why, because I think building those relationships and connecting with people, that's how our community gets better.
I can't tell you. I think about that all the time, about that greeting exchange. That's just so Wisconsin to me, where how you doing? And you're not really asking how you're doing. It's really it's a one-sided hello. Mm-hmm. For the most part, because you're not really looking for a response, or the response is, oh, how you doing? Mm-hmm. Or I'm good. You good? And they keep it moving. If there's even that type of exchange. Mm-hmm. Usually there's not, now that I think about it, but it's something I do think about all the time. And that just, it's such a small exchange, but like, when did we lose when did it just become nothing more than this surface exchange, like to ask someone how they're doing, other than really taking the time to just hear how they're doing? Mm-hmm. Right.
So this kind of goes into the pet peeve thing earlier and the, other thing later of community. But, when I first moved here, it was really interesting because I didn't know anyone. And my husband comes from a family business, so he really didn't know anyone either. And even though he grew up in Neenah, and moved to Oshkosh, he really didn't know. And it was interesting because I was that nerd that, would meet people for meetings, and I'm trying to build my business and just trying to get to know the community. And I'd say, how do you make friends? And it seems like I said, that seems so childish, right? But kids, like, you take them to a park, they connect with people right away. Yeah. They have no issues. As adults, it's so much harder. And so I'd say, harder. how do you make friends? And all the people I met with, they said, well, I'm from here and I have my group of friends. And I'm like, so that door isn't open for others,
Right.
Like how? And I've talked with, a lot of colleagues about this too. Like, how as a community can we be more opening and welcoming to people, no matter what race or, background or where you're coming from or what language you speak. Like, how can we have a different customer service model, right? Where we aren't just asking people, how are you doing? Building on that of, what's going well in your life? What's not? What do you need help with?
Right.
Wouldn't it be amazing if our community actually did that? That would just, it'd be very cool in terms of the connections. And I think we'd see even more, good things happening if people actually felt welcomed and felt included and felt loved.
Yeah, I don't think we do a horrible job about it in the region at all. But I do think what you're talking about the region, just people already having their circles. As I call it professionally, I do a lot of talking about silos and the power of the silo that happens, and to me locally in the region where, you start off in a silo, the one that your parents created for you, and then it expands to your school silo. Right. And all these people are like you. So your parents are creating this being and you're like them. And then you go to school with a bunch of people that are just like you. And it expands to, what sports you play or whatever activities you participate in. And then you got another layer of your silo and it's more people that are just like you. And you go to school to the next level and it's more people just like you, and you just continue on down this path next into your own life where you meet your partner, and then you've got another layer of a silo, and all you're doing is reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing the same. And then when you finally, whether professionally or educationally or whatever it is, are forced to engage difference, you think it's wrong because you're so siloed that has to be right. And it's so many silos, layers of the silos showing you that it must be right because it's all these other people that share all these same beliefs and rituals and things that you do. And you don't realize, no, there's no wrong. It's just different.
So when I was getting my undergraduate in social work, the assignment was you had to go into a different part of the community that you didn't belong. And you had to go there, and you couldn't do the whole, I'm not here, this is why I'm here, trying to make excuses for why you didn't fit. You had to get completely out of your comfort zone.
Nice.
And I went to a free lunch. And, totally analyzing in my head, well, what should I wear so that I don't stick out? And how I want to tell people that I'm not homeless. And, I went and, the entire time you just feel completely uncomfortable because this isn't what you know. And I sat down with these two guys that, they didn't quote unquote look homeless. And I heard their stories and it was heartbreaking, and it was like one thing in their life that went wrong that caused them to be there. Right. But we were all part of the same community. And so I think, this, like I said, going beyond asking people how they are and being a more welcoming community, it's getting out of your comfort zone and being willing to talk to people that you don't know, that aren't the same as you, because that is the moment of growth. And that's where we can really connect so that these horrible things like what happened in Buffalo don't happen.
Right. Exactly. That was good.
Sorry, that was really long. That's all you get from diversity. And you wanted to change that question.
No, I see why we did not. No, that was so good. Overdose.
Urgency. So I've been working with Winnebago County Overdose Fatality Review since 2018. And this is where I think my name comes up probably the most often in doing this work. And I've learned so much and feel so grateful for the people that have shared their stories, whether they're, still alive and in recovery, and those that have, gone way too soon, being able to hear their legacies. And unfortunately, the problem continues to get worse. And I think so much of it is if we can continue to build a strong community that we connect with people, especially those that are struggling and reaching out and being intentional, that can help and that can really make an impact.
So what do you think contributed to the explosion of it? Or was it just something, I'm also a firm believer that there's things that have always been there. It just matters who it is happening to. Mm-hmm. And so, what made this explode, or what made people pay attention?
Mm-hmm. I think it's paying, the country, the nation is paying attention to this now because there's so much fentanyl. And I know you've had other people on your podcast too, but there's so much fentanyl out there and it's laced in everything. So even if someone had been struggling with addiction for a long time and, it's in their usual source, or, someone's trying something one time, we just had this amazing event at UW Oshkosh with Chief Leibold and Captain Tarman, who are outstanding.
Shout out.
Yeah, they are amazing, and their leadership and their vision is just so incredible, right? And they've done this great project of putting the locks boxes all over campus because they care about, the what ifs, right? Like they haven't had any overdoses yet, but they're there prepared just like AEDs, right? In case of heart attack, in case of an overdose. And we had 2 moms who had lost their sons at UW Milwaukee from overdoses, and it was one pill. One of the sons had struggled with addiction for a while, and then the other, he tried one pill one time. And so I think that it's there's an increase in fentanyl, and not knowing what you're trying. But I think the other thing is loneliness. People continue to struggle, and there aren't people reaching out to support. A lot of times people that have struggled with substance use disorder have burned a lot of bridges. But addiction is a disease, and it's much like a chronic disease like diabetes. And yet we treat it so differently and stigmatize it, and it's awful. There's so much shame and guilt, and there's not enough support. And so I think, once again, things have gotten worse because with the pandemic, everything was exacerbated. Right. So you struggles of childcare, struggles of housing, influx of income. Some people got a lot more, some people got less. Just that anxiety that I know a lot of us felt of what's happening next, right?
Yes.
So that's something that with our team, and here's my big shout out I have 47 partners representing 36 agencies that are people, like you said, that care about the community and want to see it change.
What can we do as your common community members? How do we help?
There's so many ways. I think one is showing up and helping people that are struggling, right? There's so many resources out there, whether it's getting Narcan from the health department in Winnebago County, or it's, like checking in on your loved one, telling them that like, hey, I see that you're struggling. How can I help? And reaching out and not giving up. There's a great recovery community in Oshkosh. Solutions Recovery is just an outstanding organization. Trevor Fenrick runs it and has some amazing staff, and they are there to help people that are struggling and that want to be in recovery. So I think, like I said, knowing the resources and offering help is a huge way that our community can come together.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. You ready for the next segment?
Yeah.
The Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share something that you know about. It can be a thing, a place, whatever. And maybe it's something everybody knows about, but maybe they don't know all the details about. But what's the gem?
So a few years ago, my husband was looking at Google Maps and found this piece of land and was like, this is weird. I think we can go here. Like, this looks weird. This looks like we can go here. And we drive up, and it's Terrell Island. Have you been to Terrell Island?
Oh, what's Terrell Island?
Oh my gosh, it is amazing. So it's if you take Highway 21 west, and it's a little bit on your way to Algoma. It is this beautiful walking area that it's right on the water, and it's about, I think, 4 miles of walking. And so you've got, trees, and you've got plants, and you've got water, and it's just gorgeous.
Bruh. So, how did I not know about
it's a hidden gem, isn't like I feel like you've I feel like you've set this up because you're like, okay, I need to go here. Like you're just, instead of like asking for recommendations, you're like, I'm going to host a podcast and people are going to tell me the places to go.
Secretly, that was it. It was my pinky in the brain, my way of taking over the world.
Take over the world. What are we going to do today, Vicky? So I love Terrell Island. I love Ken Roble Park, which my family fondly calls Dock Park because there's like one little dock in the little, pond of water. But it's perfect if you have kids because it's only about a mile walk. And so you can like do the whole thing without having to like do the stroller and carry them and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a hidden gem. And now I'm going to have to, and your husband just found this by Google Mapping.
Google Mapping, yeah, I know.
I want to meet him now.
Yeah. He just randomly, this is geography major, just like randomly looking at Google Maps. So.
All right. I hope he doesn't take this offensively, but as a fellow geek, that sounds pretty geeky.
Yeah. But it found a hidden gem.
Yes,
so.
I'm, hey, look, I'm all about it. I'm in the geek club, so I want to meet all my fellow geeks out there, We really should start a club. Okay. What's the cash need?
Oh my gosh, so much.
Ooh.
I know.
For
real.
So,
I said I moved here in 2012 and I'm like so impressed with everything that has come to be. I think that they've done a really good job, but I think there's a lot more that we need. I would love more community and neighborhood centers. Free spaces for families to go and hang out or safe places for kids to hang out. Coming from Madison, there was a neighborhood center in every neighborhood association. And Oshkosh does neighborhood associations really well, but we don't have those spaces, those public spaces that families can hang out. So I think that's one thing. I'd also love, even though we've got a children's museum in Appleton and one in Fond du Lac, like I'd love something that's family friendly and recovery friendly, substance free friendly, space like that as well. I feel like this is all like basic needs, but like better transportation, affordable and accessible childcare, affordable and accessible housing. I think making sure that the community we have here has their basic needs met and that we're doing as much as we can to support them to be successful.
I agree. And even though it's like, it sounds so common sense, sometimes what I think really happens is people assume we just have it already or that there's enough of it and there's just not.
Yeah. I keep having meetings where people say, doesn't that already exist?
See?
And I say, so even if it does, we have enough of a population that we need more of it, right? Because we still have issues in our community.
We're not fulfilling the need.
No.
There's yeah. And especially I would think now, if I was someone, I would never question anything just on the sheer increase of cost of things. And like what it costs to rent an apartment now is like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot more. And if you've got, eviction history, for a number of reasons and credit history and.
Or just even if you don't have a job that pays like the best. All right. There's a lot of jobs we need. There's a lot of people or those frontline workers, those people who really do the things that we love them to do. And it just may not be the best paying profession. We need them to have secure places to live, safe places to live, quality. They deserve a quality of life.
Everyone does.
Yes, very much so. Okay. Love it. Next, the Naughty/Heroes Corner. This is your opportunity to nominate someone, something, whatever it is, an organization, maybe it's not, whatever it is, to the Naughty or Heroes Corner.
So what if people said in the past?
Wait, there's a lot of different directions people go. Here's what I will tell you, though. There's only been like maybe 3 people who've ever picked the Naughty Corner.
Okay.
And one of them picked their kids.
Wait, I was like, which day is it? Because
because actually it sounded pretty accurate from the story that they shared. So I was like, yeah, that's Naughty Corner to me for sure. So no, but I mean, usually it's heroes and it's whatever you want it to be.
Okay. Well, because I kind of feel like this is a shout out, but so I'm going to go with Karen Schneider from the Oshkosh Herald.
Okay.
So, and do you know Karen?
I have had the opportunity to meet her at a Herd game, and I'm hoping that she's going to be a guest.
Yeah, I think she should definitely be a guest. But I think, you know, and I've known Karen for a while since I've been here, but I've never met someone that cares so much about this community and wanted to create a business to make sure that others also cared about their community.
Yes.
And free newspaper so that people could be informed. I mean, I think that speaks volumes.
Agreed.
Yeah. And she just started the Nina News, but I think, you know, she is such an incredible woman in our community and asset to, like I said, to create a resource that everyone can get to be informed. And I think it keeps going back to everything that we've talked about of building community. You have to know that. You have to be informed. You have to know what to show up for. You know, it's been amazing the highlights that she's given of, you know, student athletes early, you know, like such a important time in your life. And so I'm so appreciative that she's in this community and invested in this community, and we need lots more people like that.
It's a really good paper.
Yeah.
Like, I always love reading it, and like I'm always like, I learn stuff all the time from there, like, oh, that's happening, oh, that happened, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and so yes, so if you're listening, would love to have you as a guest.
I'll make that happen.
You're gonna make that happen. I appreciate that. It needs to happen.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Now, if you don't know what time it is, you know, it's a very special time in the show. Let me help you out there with that. Yes, I'm smiling as I always do as I play that. It is time for the topic of the week. And Jennifer, this week's topic of the week is
showing up for the community.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I like that. You know, when you told me that this was what it was going to be, like, I literally got chills because I was like, you know, we talk community a lot. Well, this is a community-based podcast, let's be honest. But to say you need to show up, mm-hmm. like, how do you do that? Like, I just think, and when I talk to people, there's so many people I talk to that are just like, in their heart they want to, but they make a lot of excuses about it. Mm-hmm. Whether, and I'm not saying they're what they're saying isn't valid. You know, it's time constraints, other responsibilities, or believe it or not, often I hear, I don't know where or how. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about this topic.
Yeah. So, you know, to start with, I think, what is community? And now I feel like I'm wearing my professor hat. What is community? Well, this is what this researcher says. Community is however you want to describe it, right? So it could be Oshkosh, it could be Fox Valley, it could be Wisconsin, it could be your neighborhood, it could be your family, it could be one person. You know, we talk about this and have heard from people in recovery that, you know, when they first get into recovery, that they can trust themselves and then one person and then another person. And I don't think that's too different than a lot of us. No matter what experience you have, that community may start small and then continue to grow as you build trust, right?
Right.
I think the showing up piece is, you know, I have a almost 6-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, and I always tell them, you know, the most important thing you can do in life is to show up. And that's the good and the bad, right? You know, when a friend has a loved one that dies, we show up at the funeral. You know, if a friend has a birthday, we show up at the birthday. If the community has a new food co-op, you show up at their events, you shop there. You know, if, you know, today was the Pains event for Festival of Spring, you show up. If we want our community to continue to grow and flourish, it requires that people come and that they show up and that they participate and that they engage and they connect. And so that's kind of the background on it. But in this work that I've done with the overdose fatality review, I think this is just so cool what happened. You had Stephanie Gildenman on your podcast, and she's outstanding. And
shout out Stephanie. Congratulations.
So happy that I get to work with her. But she and I did a whole bunch of conversations with people in recovery. And there was this one conversation with two young women that were new to recovery. And they said, God, I just wish that people knew how awesome recovery was. And I wish that we could just connect and we could break stigma and we could educate people that addiction is a disease. And Stephanie and I look at each other and go, yeah, I think we can make that happen. And so that was the We Heart You Recovery in Our Community event that we had this last March. And if you haven't seen our recap video, you have to. It will bring you to tears. It will inspire you for the day because it is so darn moving. Huge shout out to Alex Belleville from Mirrorless Productions who put it together because he was inspired by the event. But we had 333 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah.
333?
For a first-time event. It was held at UW Oshkosh. Shout out to them because they're amazing in the police department. And people showed up, not knowing if it was the event that was right for them, not knowing what their connection was. And it was incredible. We had everyone wearing these shirts that say, We Heart You on it.
I saw them.
And so, yeah, and they were so great. And it was cool because by doing that, there was actually strategy with that of everyone says, what should I wear? Should I wear my uniform? Should I dress up? No, you're going to wear this t-shirt. You're going to show how you are showing up for the community and that you care about what we're talking about.
Yes.
And we're all on the same playing field. It's all equal, right? And so all these people showed up. We had people that, shared their stories of resilience and thriving in recovery of, pain. Grace Lim did this amazing Heroes of Oshkosh, the Fix Project. And she, came in and said too about, how heartbreaking the stories were, but also how inspiring they were.
Shout out to Grace.
Yeah. See, like I said, you've had all these amazing people on your podcast and I get to work with them on a daily basis. But it was so cool to have all these people in one room that all walks of life, people who had lost loved ones, people who had struggled with addiction, law enforcement, fire EMS, treatment, recovery, education, faith communities. People all just showed up to learn and to connect with one another. And our speaker, really talked about sharing your story and the power of sharing your story. And that's how you connect and that's how you build community. And so I think that with this event, like I said, it was just so amazing. And I'm so grateful that people showed up, even when they didn't think that it mattered, even when they didn't think that it connected to them. They showed up and the ripples of that in our community have continued. And I've been able to just experience just a little bit of those waves. And I'm so excited and so grateful for the people that are, part of this and that are willing to, just be part of it. It's just amazing. So I think the last thing that I would say, because you asked about the people making excuses for what showing up means. Showing up can be asking intentionally how someone is and pausing to find out. It can be showing up at a community event that you may or may not know. It could be filling out a Politico survey that, the city sends out once a month or whatever it is. These are ways that you can show up and you can connect to the community. And if more of us do that, this community that is already thriving will continue to get better. And I sound like, I'm campaigning for something, but I'm not. This is just, passion for the people that I live and work with and that I'm raising my kids in. And I'm so excited to continue to watch our community get better and better and that my kids will be extremely proud of where they're from.
You don't sound like you're campaigning to anything about anything or for anything. To me, it just sounds like you are a very passionate resident who truly cares. And you don't just talk the talk. Mm-mm. You walk the walk. Mm-hmm. And what's even better is when you can help others walk the walk too. Mm-hmm. So I think that's beyond cool. Is this going to become an annual event?
So I've been asked that a lot. And right now, and I say, calm down, people. So, my response is two things. We work so hard to create something good, right? And then it happens and it's really good.
Right.
And everyone says, what's next? What's next? And I say, pause. Appreciate what happened. Let's see these ripples turn into waves, and then we can decide what's next.
Right.
Because I don't want to create the same event because it will never feel that way again. I want to see how our community reacts and responds and then decide what's next. And I don't want it to just be me and the amazing planning team that I had. I want the whole community to be giving, their thoughts and their perspective on what it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was too good of an answer.
But now I'm thinking that I said there were two things, but it's just really the one. It's just the one. Yeah.
That was really good answer.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, here's what I've picked up out of that. We're going to put links in this. So just know we're going to put links to the things that were just talked about, whether it is the things from Grace Lim, the video, things to share about the event as a whole. If there's any articles or anything, we will find some links and we'll make sure that we put those into the podcast notes. My personal ask is, because I asked Tarman for this. Shout out to Tarman. I hope you hear this. I want one of those T-shirts.
Oh, well, I can hook you up.
You can hook me up? All right. I was hoping so, because I'm not going to lie, and here's when sometimes you know how powerful an event is. When I was scrolling through Facebook that day, they were everywhere. They were everywhere, and there was just engaged people, and you could just tell, wow.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking to myself, how did I not know about this? How did I get left in the dark?
Well, and the stories, I got so many amazing responses after of, and I was just talking to someone yesterday or the day before, and he's like, I'm from Oshkosh, moved away. And he's like, I was very skeptical of this event and what it would be. And I went, and he's like, I was so proud of our community for showing up, and doing it. And emails that I got of, people in recovery saying I felt heard and I felt valued, that's amazing.
Yes.
Right.
Well, sometimes that's the thing that tips the scale, right? That's the difference maker. That's all we all want, right?
Yeah.
We just want to feel heard, and we want to feel valued.
Yeah. And I think it means that people have to show up. Right? It's you asking people questions of, tell me who you are, how you feel about these things, and you don't need a podcast platform to do that. You're demonstrating it to everyone, right? Like, this is how you do it. This is how you connect with people. But, I think we just need more of us in the community that are pausing and doing that. And that way, when we hear that someone's struggling, and it doesn't have to just be addiction, right? Hey, you're struggling after hearing about this shooting. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how I can help you, right? I can't solve everything, but tell me how I can make you feel better and what I can do. And I think, let's all do that.
Yes. You know what? If someone actually said that to me, I wouldn't know what to do with it because it just doesn't happen. I can think of a few times during the pandemic. That was probably the only time that I can think of that people reached out, particularly around the George Floyd things that happened, incident, who did that, where they just said, I'm trying to see, just checking in. Are you good? Need anything? And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that, because that felt like caring, like a different level of caring. Like when you just are just humanly compassionate, not because you're obligated to be, because they're family, or because there's this deep connection, but just because we're humans and I'm checking in to make sure my brother and my sister is good.
It's like you said, it was an incident that like spurred people's thought, right, to check in on you. And I think about, when I was pregnant, and there were people that are like, how you doing? And like, after having a baby, like, how you doing? But usually people stop after, the first week and like, you're still struggling. Like, oh my God, where did all these people go? But, it doesn't have to be an incident. You can be thinking about other people all the time. You don't just have to think about yourself all the time, right? Like you can reach out to friends and just send a text saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. You doing okay?
Yeah.
And think about how easy that is to show up for people and to connect with people.
Well, I feel like nowadays it's gotten really easy because all you got to do is pull that device out and just say, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met with Colleen Bies, another shout out. And, she had talked about the pandemic being, she's like, so it seems that it was harder to kind of do your job. And I said, no, it was easier because people like let down their guard, right? Like through virtual world, you got to see inside people's houses. And people saw how crazy I was, with like kids in the background. And I'm like, this is my reality. And I'm like so grateful that people gave me grace during that period. And I think that it's continued to be that way, right? Like the more you can connect with people on the personal level, the easier it is to work with them professionally as well.
I think, now that you say that, there should probably be a study about that because I do believe like the doing virtual meetings and actually seeing in people's homes and just whatever their chaos or lack of chaos was, people sitting with the dog all in the screen and the kids running around snatching things and whatever it was.
The number of times that my son or daughter would say, come wipe my butt in the middle of a meeting. I'm like, you had to poop right now. Like right now. And now, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Of course.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that works. If you weren't doing anything, neither was I. I don't want to poop then.
That's right. That's
never a thing. I do think like it really did just show a level. And you know what else I liked? I liked the fact that most people showed up to virtual meetings as they were. Mm-hmm. Like all of a sudden, like it wasn't that professional.
No.
I don't know about you, but I wore a lot of hoodies.
I wore a lot of workout clothes.
See,
I mean, I still do. It's amazing that I actually like showered to come see you today.
Oh, and I feel
and we're not even virtual.
Bruh. I feel super special. Oh, that's gonna be a segment now. Did you shower?
Did you shower? What was your pandemic wear?
Yes. Yeah. That should be.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good question.
But no, I do think like you just got to see you got to see people being authentic.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting. And here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that once a level of change happens, you're not just going to snap back to the way that it was. That's not just going to snap back. Mm-hmm. I think, a lot of these workplaces that might have had certain dress codes or expectations of what professional look like, that's not snapping back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love, that you were talking about authenticity because I hope that doesn't change. I love when your buddy Chris Tarman always talks about speaking from the heart. Mm-hmm. And I love that because, I think the more that we all speak from our heart, the more genuine and authentic we are, the better this is going to be. Life is going to be a heck of a lot better if we could actually just be ourselves and appreciate each other for that too.
Facts. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think I've talked your ear off.
No, you can't talk my ear off. And anyway, this isn't about me. This is about the Kosh listeners. And let me tell you something. Right now, they're smiling.
Oh, good.
I'm pretty sure they're going to love this conversation. All right. Well, cool. We're going to move into the next part of the show, which is where we start winding down. Thank you again, Kosh listeners, for taking some time and listening. We're a work in progress, so don't hesitate to reach out and let us know how we can improve. I'm so big on that. I contact every guest afterwards for the most part and ask, how did you feel about this and how can we do better? We want to do better. So, and I need that from you too. So don't hesitate. Let us know how we're doing. if you would like to be a guest, or if there's anything you want to share, don't hesitate to reach out. We've got several ways. You can reach out through our email, which is askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Or you can also call us on our virtual voicemail, which is 920-385-9298. Once again, that's 920-385-9298. Make sure you check out we have a website now, which is thekoshpodcast.com. And that's where we house all the episodes. So if you ever want to listen to the most current and any of the past ones, we're there. And you know what I just realized right now? Jennifer.
Yeah.
I believe, if I'm correct, you're the 50th episode.
Where's my cake?
See, set myself up right there. Cake. Actually, 50 does deserve cake.
That's amazing.
Actually, you were gonna do cake now.
That is incredible.
Yeah, look, along this journey, at no point did I ever think that we would get to 50. Like, that wasn't a thing. Like, it was just like, I'm a big old nerd and I want to buy this podcast equipment and we're going to try this thing out. And we're 50 episodes in.
I think it is so incredible that you had a dream and something you were passionate about and you made it happen. And now the impact, I keep talking about ripples and waves, but you're making an impact in this community by sharing all these stories and connecting.
I hope so. I like to believe so. And yeah, it seems people pay attention. People like to hear the stories. People like to know their neighbors. And I think some people are really surprised at all of the things that our neighbors are doing. It's pretty powerful when you think about it.
It's
right?
incredible.
So that's a thing. And here's what I was thinking. So, forever now, I've been trying to start a new segment called Ask the Kosh. I've had no success.
Oh.
I only got one person to call in for it, right? Mm-hmm. So, Kosh listeners, I've decided to change my ask.
Oh.
Yeah. So, here's what I'm going to offer. Kosh listeners, you already know one of my favorite parts of the show and incorporated throughout the show is shout out time. Love shout out time. Well, you know what? Why should myself and the guest be the only people doing shout outs?
Oh, I love that.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. Please feel free to call our voicemail and leave us your shout outs. And we will play those live in the show.
That's a great idea.
You like that?
I love that.
Yes. Come be part of our shout out time. So send the shout outs, send the birthdays, send whatever you would like to send. And we will literally play it as is in the show. Yeah, I'm good.
I was like, you may be opening, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not. Look, I'm not scared. Yet. That's right. I'm not sure that just might be lack of fear out of ignorance.
I think it's an awesome way to connect.
I think it's that you
don't just have to be the lucky person to be the guest, but there are other ways that you can connect with the community that you're building through the Kosh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to personally engage. I want them to be part of the show.
I like that.
Okay. That's fantastic. Okay. And now that we have said that, you know what time it is? Let me tell you right now. It is shout out time.
So I think I've listed about 10 people throughout this interview. So all those people get shout outs. And I think, first and foremost, my family. Aww. Don't you have a button that says "aw"?
I don't have an "aw" button, but I'm going to work on that.
Okay,
now.
So I'm so grateful that I'm able to do the work that I am, and it takes a whole bunch of people supporting me too. Right. When I'm in my crazy, stressful, competitive stage. So obviously, my husband and my 2 kids that are just they're sometimes in the naughty corner, but they make me laugh, and life is so much more fun with shenanigans and silliness. And so I'm grateful for my family in doing that. I have to give a shout out to all the amazing people in the community that, I'm not listing names because they're just way too many. I'd go over what Colleen, like her list was long, but mine would be even longer. So I think with all my OFR partners, I'm so grateful for all of them being willing to show up and to think differently and be open-minded and being willing to change. So grateful for people like that. And then I'm going to do a shout out for one person in particular. So, and I have this kind of whole crew of people that I walk with. Walking is like my self-care, my coping mechanism. And so I'm grateful for many of the amazing people that I walk with, men and women. And I have a best friend, Fran Garb, Dr. Fran Garb, who is 81 years old. Fran, I'm sorry for giving away your age, but like she's the most amazing human being I've met. And I walk with her on an almost daily basis. And I swear she can kick my butt. She is so darn fast that I'm like, Fran, you got to slow down for me. But, she's just this incredible person that, even in her retirement has continued to give back to this community and to care about the community. And I'm so grateful for that friendship. And I'm grateful for her support and helping me, cope through walking or watching my kids or just being an awesome neighbor. So that's my shout out.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. We don't have an awe, but we got applause.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
You like that?
I do like that.
Okay. This week's shout outs. I usually have a big list, but I'm not going to go heavy this week. I'm going to give a shout out to our Hmong community. They had an amazing event in Appleton last week. Thank you. Thank you for putting on these amazing cultural events and sharing your culture with us. It was cool. I popped in. I didn't stay long, but I got to see. And it's just cool, right? I just like to see how other cultures do what they do. And there's something to be said for that. I'd like to send a shout out to the people of Progression. They did an event in Appleton last week. It was health related. It was really, really good. I popped in there. And shout out to African Heritage, who is getting ready, planning and hosting the Juneteenth Day celebration, which I have found out that the Juneteenth Day celebration that happens in Appleton is actually I believe it's the 7th most popular and recognized Juneteenth celebration in the nation.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
In Appleton.
Yeah.
So that's hot, right? And the rest, just shout out to everyone that I get to have amazing conversations with and engage with. I do very public work, but I also do a lot of sensitive work. So I can't put everything out there, but I truly get to work with people who are in a place of need or those people who want to make a difference. And I thank you all for just the people that you are. So much appreciated. All right. So we are at the end of the show. Oh, I know.
I see,
right?
That awe would have been aw.
You know what? Just for that, I'm gonna get an awe button, and the awe button might be in play. So the last thing that we do, you get an option. All right, A, B, and C.
Okay.
You can share some words of wisdom. You can tell us, what would yourself today tell your 12-year-old self? Or C, which, you're a professor. It's all of the above.
I was like, I think you can combine it all. I think the whole theme of this is show up for community. And I think it's something that I would have told my 12-year-old self too. I think probably the only further advice was give yourself some grace. Like, it's okay. Be genuine, be authentic, and that will win, because I truly believe that's how I've become, blessed to be in this position, is because I've been myself and connected with people that way. But I think the biggest advice that I have is our community would get a whole lot better if people continue to show up and continue to be themselves.
Facts. Yeah, well, what it is, it's the facts. What do you think?
I love it. This was so much fun.
Wasn't it fun?
It was fun.
Hey, you know what? The Kosh.